friend from Kansas, Mr. Estes, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Director Young, for being here. I know it's been a long day for you and some of us coming in and out and going through the process. So I want to surface on 2 or 3 things and then a deep dive on a couple. I mean, one of the things that when we did passed the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act was intentionally addressing companies being motivated to leave the United States because of taxes. And we were seeing a lot of inversions, and even the Obama administration, President Obama, before President Trump came in, was talking about how bad inversions were. And since Tax Cuts and Jobs Act was passed in 2017, there have been no inversions, companies leaving the United States through that process. And that was the intention of making sure that we do that. So I'm really concerned, some of the things in the budget going through and adding taxes back and defeating some of the value that was in that program of helping make companies stay here. And particularly as we've talked about, I mean, one of the things talk about raising $1 trillion from the global minimum tax under the theory that it would prevent a race to the bottom in taxes around the world, when in reality, the underreporting process is going to allow other countries who've passed that law, which nothing's been brought before Congress yet, to be able to change the U.S. tax law to have that process. So I'm really concerned that the numbers in here for revenue are going to be worse than what moves forward. And part of the reason why that bothers me is, this past year, or this current year, we are borrowing 1 out of every $5 that we spend. I mean, 1 out of every $5 is spent. And the budget that's proposed for next year, 1 out of every $4 that's spent is borrowed. And to me, it looks like, as I go through the math, you're saying that the deficit's reduced by $3 trillion, but I just don't see that. When I look at the numbers, I look at, on S1, the table in the budget, and it talks about a $1.5 trillion deficit this year. Next year, that goes up. The next year, it goes up. A couple of years are stable, right about the same as this year, but then it goes up and goes up and goes up. And over the 10-year period on that table S1, it says that the deficit's increasing by $17 trillion. So I'm wondering where the claim is that it's $3 trillion less when it's going up $17 trillion over the 10 years.
Congressman, if you look on S2, we have a lot of S tables, I point out. If you look on S2 at the bottom, total proposals in the 2024 budget shows the year-over-year deficit reductions, and it adds to $2.9 trillion, the nearly $3 trillion we've talked about over many hours in this room.
Right, but if you look at the debt, actually continues to go up, which means that's more of a reflection of, just because we didn't raise the deficit $20 trillion, we can't claim that as a $2.9 trillion savings, because we are raising the deficit by $17 trillion over 10 years.
You can. I mean, yearly deficits feed into the debt, and you can't make deficits worse. It will make the debt problem worse. So it absolutely does help get our fiscal house in order to save $3 trillion with the president's policies.
But it doesn't save $3 trillion. It just means we spend $3 trillion less than we could have spent in other avenue, because the debt actually continues to go up in this next 10 years, the breakdown for that. So I know a lot of discussion around that. I don't understand that math, that process going through there. I do want to hit one other quick point. I know this is a real quick to go through in 5 minutes, and you've been hit with a lot of different issues, but one of the things we talked about earlier was Social Security. And I don't see anywhere where the president proposes to save anything on Social Security. I mean, we look at, all the projections are out there that within 10 years, the trust fund will be depleted, that at that point in time, the projections are that it'll be a 23% cut in payments, monthly payments. So if you're making $1,000 a month in your Social Security payment, you'll drop down to $770. So what has the president done to fix that?
So, Congressman, as we sit here in 2023, we absolutely, the budget speaks to this, want to work with people in Congress who have solutions for the trust fund running out of solvency in 2033. Today, unfortunately, We believe the largest crisis is those who have, as the ranking member pointed out, have policies that would cut Social Security benefits. This budget says the president will not do that.
Okay, so if I look at this, there's really nothing in there that helps Social Security over the next 10 years.
It
So
helps seniors
we'll have to
not
do that
lose
work.
benefits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, and I yield back, Mr. Chairman.